Oh, D5 render. It's something that's been asked about in my comment sections here and on TikTok quite a bit over the last 3 to 6 months. I'm lucky enough to have someone come on from the D5 team. That's what we're going to talk about today. Another real-time visualization rendering tool for us. If you guys have watched my channel, you know about Twinmotion, you know about Enscape, and maybe from many, many years ago, you know about Lumion. Always good to have competition, always good to see what everyone's doing. And so today we're going to jump into D5 rendering with a little bit of emphasis on Revit, but more of just what this thing can do, what it's all about. And with that, let's jump into episode 129 of BIM After Dark Live. All right. Hello, everyone. Hello again, and welcome to BIM After Dark Live. My name is Jeff, also known as the Revit Kid. Thank you for joining us. As I mentioned before, this is episode 129. If you're not familiar with the show and somehow you stumbled upon this for your first time, this is a weekly live stream here on YouTube where we talk about Revit, BIM, technology, and really anything related to AECO in that realm. This is episode 129. So if you want to see the previous 128 episodes, then head on over to live.bimafterdark.com, or you can head on over to my YouTube channel page and look at the playlist for BIM After Dark Live, and you can stream and binge watch all 128 previous episodes. If you're here live tonight, which is Wednesday at 9 p.m. Eastern Time on October 22nd, then feel free to chat. I will be keeping an eye on the chat. If there's questions that I feel feed the conversation, then I will ask them to our guest and include them in the conversation. There are also some folks in the chat who are usually more than willing to answer questions along the way too, so don't be shy. Feel free to chat as you go along. So with all that being said, I don't want to waste too much of everyone's time. Let me turn the music off here, and I'm going to introduce our guest, which is Millie Yoshida from the D5 rendering team. Millie, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Of course. Thank you for jumping on. For those who don't know, when I set up these shows, there's two different ways they go. It's either months and months in advance or sometimes a couple of days. And so this is one that was pulled together in a couple of days. And I appreciate your willingness to jump on so quickly when we finally made the connection. And Stephen Brosh, who's actually in the chat, he's a member of the BIM After Dark community. He's the one who knew somebody on your team and sort of made the connections as I was trying to sort of connect with other people on the D5 team. And so I appreciate how all this came together. As I mentioned before, D5 has been something. Actually, before we jump into that, maybe everyone should get to know you a little bit better. And so before we jump into D5, let's talk about you and how you became to join D5 and sort of your background in architecture.
Yeah, sure. So my position is the design technology consultant at D5. And I'm an architectural designer myself with 6+ years of experience working at architecture firms. Here's my camera. It's turned off.
That's all right.
Happens, right? Let's see. Technical issues from day one. All right. You don't need to see my face. So I've worked at architectural offices for over 6 years at various sizes and scales and project types, and I'm based out of New Haven, Connecticut. So I've always been into visualization, and throughout school and my career, I've used Lumion, Enscape, V-Ray, along with Revit and Rhino, kind of standard industry tools. But I've always had a love-hate relationship with renderings because on one hand, I want to make something beautiful, but on the other hand, there's so much complexity that's required in the programs and a lot of things that's lacking. Mm-hmm. And they're always so slow, right? So I've always kind of dreaded whenever I have to do renderings, like, I'll invest hours or days into rendering this one image, but then I realize I made a mistake, or, mm-hmm. A client wants to see something different, then I'll have to go back and tweak it and do it all over again. Or I want to do something simple, like place in a background like background trees for context, but then I'll
Hmm.
spend hours and hours on Photoshop trying to match the background in perspective, and it still
Right.
doesn't come out right. And oh, there we go.
You're back for now.
Um,
We're just gonna keep flipping between it. So
yeah.
the reason why we're a few minutes late is because Millie's camera has been going crazy. So if she drops out, we apologize, but we can definitely hear you
Yeah.
the whole time. So
Okay,
I'll just
great.
work with it and try to make it look not too awkward, just staring at my face while I listen to you. But
Yeah, yeah. So
so
that's where I'm
as
at.
you're saying, so I assume that's kind of where the real time rendering really comes into play. And I think for a lot of us, that's probably the benefits we saw right away with any of these tools, whether it's Enscape, Twinmotion, Lumion, D5, and I remember one called Artlantis, but I don't know if it's still around. But that's awesome. And you're in New Haven, which is really cool. Somehow we got connected, and then I saw your history, and you work with a couple firms that I've even worked with in the past, and right here in Connecticut, which is super cool. What a small world.
Yeah.
So. Just so you guys know, on the D5 team, I've been doing a lot of Twinmotion videos, especially in the past year or so, and there. For some reason, anytime I do a Twinmotion video, whether it's YouTube or TikTok especially, there is just always at least a couple people commenting about D5. Have you tried D5? What about D5? D5. And so I don't know if it's a trend in the industry, or if it's like a vocal minority. I haven't really figured that out yet, but it has made me sort of look into and watch the development over the last, even just 6 to 9 months. And so I'm super excited to have you guys on so I can, learn more about it. And I'm sure my audience is in the same boat. So again, everyone, if you're here live, I will be checking out. I see there's already some questions and some folks in the chat. So I will be checking that out as we go through. So with all that being said, I think I don't know if we have to even dig into what a real-time rendering tool is here on this channel. I think I would imagine that most people watching this video know what we're talking about when we say a real-time rendering tool. So I think I'm probably ready to sort of jump in and just get a sense of what is it about D5 that makes it special. I don't want to necessarily have this whole episode be comparing it to other tools, but I do, there's a natural comparison that's going to happen as we see these things and as you look through them. And so there's a few features and technologies that I've definitely seen that are unique to D5, which I'm sure we're going to get into. But I think just in general, if you want to sort of do a little overview of the workflow, maybe how it integrates with Revit or just general scene management, and just get a sense of what this tool is all about.
Yeah. So it is good to kind of reference these other programs just for frame of reference because everybody's familiar with it, how it works. So we like to kind of, I like to say that it's kind of a combination of Enscape and Lumion, where it has the live sync capabilities that you see with Enscape, where you're designing in Revit or the 3D modeling software of your choice, and then you're seeing in real time your modeling updates, the changes to the geometry, to the scene in D5. So essentially, you're able to design, see instantly changes in your design, changes in materials. So it's not just a rendering output tool, but it's also a design tool as well, while you have the quality of something like Lumion. So it's essentially the speed and the quality without having to compromise one for the other, is how I basically frame it. So like I mentioned, it's not just a rendering output program, but it's a design and a collaborative platform as well. So we so D5 Teams is kind of like the our maximum capacity subscription, I guess, that allows for multiple users to collaborate in the same project file at the same time. So similar concept to Revit. You have a central file, and you can set up work sets, and you can have multiple people in your team kind of check out one of those work sets and work in them simultaneously. So it's and not only that, but you can communicate inside the program. You can comment. You can leave annotations and comments directly inside of D5. So you can point to something and like make a comment on it, and then someone can pick up those changes without having to kind of pass it back and forth on Teams or Slack or whatever, and do this kind of telephone game, I guess.
Yeah,
So everyone's kind of looking at the same uh, visuals at the same time, and it's real time updating.
that's awesome.
Yeah, so it's a real productivity tool. Um, it again, like the concept is similar to Revit, and you can also set up kind of your team's asset library. So you'll have a team's 3D asset and materials kind of catalog saved on your shared network. And so you only have to, download a component once, and then you can upload it to, well, not upload, just save it to that shared library, and then everybody on your team is instantly able to access that. So it's a real collaborative platform. And it's not just like the pretty visuals. It's really you see what you're designing in real time, and you're able to kind of provide that immediate feedback internally, and not just with the clients, but have that kind of design discussion while you're in that rendering space. So I think that's a really unique aspect of D5.
Yeah, and that's one that I know other tools have been experimenting with, but are definitely not there yet. And so, one of the things I will say, since, like you said, using other tools that are maybe more established, as a benchmark, I think is definitely a good way to sort of compare. But the one thing that I keep thinking about, which is great, is the fact that we still have competition in this space. That's when I hear about D5 and Twinmotion and Lumion, and I go through all these things. It's like it's refreshing that it's that we do have still, in this real-time visualization space, we still have solid amounts of companies that are competing. So I think it helps with all these features and being able to, raise the bar here and there, as opposed to some other areas of our industry where there's a monopoly sort of around the tool, and there's no competition to sort of change things. So with that, that's kind of why I'm super excited when I start seeing some of the AI features and some of the like the collaboration tools, and seeing how Epic versus you guys versus are looking at, okay, what's the next differentiating factor, because we're actually in a climate where we can do that, right? And so I'm super excited about that. So I think maybe one way we can jump right into some demo stuff is maybe just talk a little bit about the workflow before. I think probably there's a lot of people that are going to want to see features and some of the differentiators, like some of the AI stuff that we've talked about, and maybe some of the real-time features. But I also think that being a pragmatist as well, understanding the workflow a little bit. Most of the users here are probably going to be Revit users, considering the channel is called the Revit Kid. So maybe a sense of the workflow between Revit and D5. I know you mentioned a live sync. Is the live sync the only option, or is there a live sync option, but then there's also sort of an export import option, and sort of let's maybe dig into that real quick.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, that's true. There is a live sync as well as a separate export option, and there's benefits to both. So D5 is compatible with basically all of the typical standard 3D modeling softwares: Revit, Rhino, Vectorworks, SketchUp, 3ds Max, Blender. I think there's a couple more. But it basically works as a plugin. So you install the D5 plugin, and all you do is really just hit the sync button, similar to Enscape, and then it will connect you to D5, which is a standalone program. And then it will essentially everything that you want to see visually. So materials, entourage, furniture, background, landscape, lighting, context, all of those things are built inside of D5. So the great thing about D5 in comparison to, say, Enscape, is that the synchronization only works one way. So whatever you add in D5 is not going to go back to Revit. So if anytime you add an entourage, like a tree or a person, it's not going to sync back and bog down your file. So you can keep your Revit model sort of clean and organized and free of clutter, and treat it essentially like the documentation tool that it is. And then in D5, you start to build those environments and then treat that as your kind of your secondary file with all of that other real life kind of asset information. So that's how I would frame it.
So if there's, let's say you want to do design options or something like that in Revit, are you and you want to maybe explore in the same scene in D5, I don't know, 3 different roof types, right? Is that strictly through the live sync, or is there the ability, like you said, it does accept file types, is if you export, as X, Y, and Z file, you just import it into D5, and that it's static, and you could refresh it, or overwrite and refresh it, but you have that ability to sort of, or take pieces of it instead of just the live sync. That's kind of where.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. There are kind of scene lists, and I can go over it once we get into the interface too. But there are ways to organize visibility of layers. So hypothetically, you would do a live sync of the base model, and then you may selectively export the roof, the design variations of that roof, and then import it into D5, and then organize those into various layers, and then kind of have organized those design options based on the visibility of those layers.
What format is that export from Revit?
That would be the D5 format.
Okay.
That is also
part of the plugin. Is it exports D5?
Exactly.
Okay, awesome.
Exactly.
Very cool. All right, yeah, I think maybe I'm just checking here. There's no questions worth jumping in here. So maybe it's time to sort of let's take a look at the interface. Maybe talk a little bit about what we're seeing. Everyone, they're seeing your screen now, so maybe just talk a little bit through what we're seeing here, and then we can maybe run through some things like the how the file comes in, and like you were saying, the scenes and whatnot. Just a general overview.
Yeah. So what you're seeing here is basically the scene that's built up from D5. I'm gonna shut off my camera for a moment. So the building, the building is brought in through, I think this is a SketchUp file. And then everything that you see in here, the materials, the landscape, all the assets, those are built inside of D5. So essentially you're just bringing in the geometry. And I don't have Revit open right now, but essentially the workflow is pretty simple. All you do is synchronize, and then your main model will come up in this object list. So if I turn it on and off, this is what's coming in from the 3D modeling software. And then anytime you make changes to the geometry, it will you will hit the sync button, and then it will synchronize instantaneously. So you're sure to have the latest design on your screen. And then once you add materials to the live synced model, those will retain. And that's sort of the benefit of the live sync. Whereas, in selective exports, you may have to reapply the materials. So, you can replace whatever you've imported with a new model, but then you might have to reapply the materials all over again.
So you mentioned sort of the assets that are built around it, and so one of the things I have heard, one of the things that personally I've been a huge fan of Twinmotion for is the depth of the asset library and the ability to bring certain things in. And I have heard that D5 also has a pretty well rounded asset library. So I'm curious to sort of, as far as built-in library versus there's an online place I think where you can get them. So maybe can you talk a little bit about when you're building these scenes now around your models, what options do you have?
Yeah, absolutely. So this is our asset library inside of D5. We have a huge variation of common building materials as well as, outdoor kind of organic natural materials. And as far as 3D models, we have almost 14,000 assets of various planting types and entourage vehicles, backdrop planes, furniture, fixtures. So we do have a fair number of landscape architecture firms using D5, and they request certain species that they want to use. And then we are pretty good about providing them with those species as our assets. So I think at this point we do have a pretty large number of species of various, biodiversity, I guess.
Right.
And then in our online selection, so d5works.com, this is our 3D warehouse. Don't know why it's not loading. It's essentially our 3D model warehouse, where our product team constantly is churning out assets. It's mainly interior focused, since we try to have manufacturers also partner with us and have their products listed here as well. Not sure. It's not. Oops. d5works.com. I don't know why it's not.
We can imagine we're seeing a whole bunch of models there.
Gosh, I don't know what's going on with my... Look, it's late at night.
Yes.
There we go.
And it's a live stream, right? That's how it works. Live demo.
Exactly, right. So as you can see, there are a huge variation of 3D assets, as well as materials. So whatever you don't find inside of our software library, you can probably find here.
And now the process to bring these in, is it a download and then import into D5, or is there a way to pull it directly?
So I think if you do link your account to it,
and you add it or something,
they should show up in your library. And if not, it's also really easy to import. So in this import file, you can import any of these common file types. So if you do already have your custom, asset, then you can import these as well.
Right. Awesome. Yeah, that's great. d5works.com is the link you had there, right? So that's on top of the 5,000 tree types that there and vegetation types. So I think maybe what we'll do is maybe talk a little bit about some of the visualization sort of and settings that sort of how you've set up the lighting and whatnot, any uniqueness of the environment. And then maybe what we'll do is we'll take a quick ad break and we come back. I know a lot of people are wanting to jump into some of the unique AI features that are built in. So maybe that's what we'll jump into those, because I think those are definitely some differentiators, but also ones that are super interesting, whether it's the material creation part of it or the post-processing. I know that there's Vegetation Scout. There's a lot of really neat AI tools that you're building into it. So maybe real quickly, if you can just kind of run through a little bit of environmental settings, and is there anything unique or that you'd like to? I see there's HDRI Sky set up in this one, and sort of going through that. Being a real-time tool, is this right now what we're looking at? For example, is there ray trace versus path trace versus are there different scene options? Like what is it that we have options for as far as the visualization side of it?
Yeah. So here you're seeing the environment tab. Here is where you can manually customize basically every aspect of the environment, from sun intensity, white balance, color temperature, GeoSky here lets you input your coordinates and then get your accurate sun angles, based on the time of year, etc. You do have weather controls like the cloud, fog, precipitation, snow, rain, wind. So these scenes are animated too. So you do get like movements of like the trees and the leaves and whatnot. And then in the effects here, this is kind of like the post-processing settings, such as the highlights and shadows, exposure, white balance, lens flare, vignette, typical settings that you would place in after the fact. But in here you can toggle these so that you have that that effect, that visual effect in the scene entirely. And then once you add save this as a scene on your scene list, it will remember those settings.
Got it.
So if you do change that environment, it will sort of you can kind of go back and forth between what you've created and something new.
Great, awesome, very cool. Somebody asked if you had sugar maple trees. I have to imagine, Peter, that there's sugar maple trees in that entire library that we just looked at. Okay, so great. So I think what we'll do is, sorry, I'm just trying to get this just the screen. So I think what we'll do is we'll take a quick break, and when we get back from this little 1 minute ad, we will jump into maybe showing some of the unique AI features that are built in that really, I think, probably, if at a minimum they speed up some processes, but then also enhance on some processes, maybe as opposed to some of the other tools that we're currently using. So with that, let's jump real quickly into an ad break, and we'll come right back.
Hi, I'm Chris Broda, and I'm a member of the BIM After Dark community.
Oh, that's it. That's all we need. That's more than enough to sniff out.
So I knew early on that CAD was going to be the way to go.
Yep.
Then I did Revit, and I was, alone at sea in Revit world, as a single practitioner, and I became a big fan of your videos and it's so changed the way I even look at everything about how to practice. It made me want to join your community for sure. Yep. I thought, this guy's great, I got to join. And I was expecting to learn a lot about Revit, sort of patch the holes of where I was. But instead, I feel like I've learned about my career and I've learned about what it means to be an architect. And I have to say kudos to you and the community, because it has made me a better architect. I have improved my practice, I've improved everything, and it's so funny because I'm ready to retire. So for the last couple of years, I didn't really want to be an architect anymore. But also, just everything with your community has given me that spark back.
All right, so if you guys saw that ad there, that's the BIM After Dark community. That was Chris Broda. Thanks for the kind words, Chris. Head on over to community.bimafterdark.com if you are interested in joining and taking advantage of all the awesome stuff we have. It is how we support things like this live stream. So we're back, Millie. I'm sorry you didn't get to hear the cool music and see the ad, but we're back now. You can always look back on it afterwards and you can see the music. But so yeah, I think we should jump in. Let's let me just share your screen there. So we can jump into maybe some of the AI features that I know are built in that are definitely some things that people are definitely wanting to see.
Yeah. So, like I described, these environment controls are pretty manual, but it does take a lot of time and bit of toggling to get to the ideal settings. So this is where you can use our AI atmosphere match, which is a tool where you can use a reference image to quickly apply those settings directly to the scene. So I'm going to load a reference image of an atmosphere that I want to apply. So for example, this winter landscape, and then what it's going to do is it's going to read, so AI is going to read this 2D image. It's going to generate the HDRI. It's going to interpret the weather, the climate conditions, and then apply those settings directly into the scene. So you're already starting to see that there's snow, and then the white balance should be applied here, and then as you can see, so it's changed the entire scene.
Yeah.
So it's not just the the 2D image. It's changed the global settings. It's the light, the sun angle that's appropriate to this scene. So it's a really cool, quick way to achieve those visual settings. And then you can actually save this out as a preset. So of course you can change these controls after the fact. But if you do have a favorite aesthetic that you've achieved here, you can save this out as a preset. So you're able to load this these exact conditions in another scene or another project. And then with the D5 curated here, this is our kind of preset library that we've created with common lighting conditions and climate conditions. So it's a really quick way to apply scenes, like if it's like a rainy scene or a night scene, you can use one of these to achieve that.
That's super neat.
A really neat AI feature for the atmosphere.
Very cool.
Then,
real quick, before you jump into the next one, I have sort of a more selfish question about the layer. I was just looking at the layer system. Are there any limitations to the layers, or the number of layers, the structure of how you can control elements, or is it pretty flexible?
I haven't seen a limit to layers. I'm sure there are limits, but I personally haven't met them yet.
Got it.
And another way to organize this is through these scenes. So these scenes are based on layer visibility and object visibility too. So it's another way to control what you can see in that scene.
Got it. So you can control object visibility separate from layers. Is that sort of?
Yeah, and then the scene group. These let you group together scenes. So if you have design options, this is where you would organize them. I see.
And is there the object area there? I see there's a search. Is there different ways to filter and condition that list? Because I'm sure that gets crazy in scenes.
Exactly.
Okay,
yeah,
there we go.
You can definitely filter them out by type. Super useful.
And group them. Okay, perfect. Cool.
Yeah, group them together. Same with so lighting you can actually place inside of D5 and then group them together. So you can duplicate them and group them and then change the lighting properties simultaneously, so you're not having to do them one by one.
Great. Thank you for entertaining that. We can jump back into the AI thing. I was just looking in and just thinking of my workflows and stuff, and I was generally curious about layer versus. And I know for example, and again, since we are sort of comparing a little bit, Lumion, for example, does have a layer limit, and that has been a problem in the past for me. So I was just generally curious. But okay, let's jump back in. So so AI? We already talked about the AI environment reference image, which is super cool. So it takes a reference image and creates your environmental settings based on it, which is awesome. So what else we got?
So we have a material generation tool called the AI Material Snap. And this is really cool. So this allows you to upload a photo, and then you can choose the material in that photo, in that image to generate. So it's really useful when your clients send you like an inspiration photo, or you have a product sample on your desk and you take a photo of it and you can upload it here. Or even if you go to a site and then you need to take you want to take a picture of the concrete or something that's existing, and then you can upload it here, and then you can generate that material. So in this example, I've generated this the terrazzo flooring based on this image, and then this is the result. So this already comes with the texture maps embedded. So all I'm doing here now is hit apply and then click on the surface that I want to apply it to, and then I can scale it up and down. And if you look kind of closely, you can see that the the displacement maps are already kind of there, with the reflectivity and kind of those specific properties of that material generated with it. So these are the texture maps here. You can also change the properties of this after the fact. So you can change the base color. You can continue to change the normals or the roughness, the scale, and then save this out to your library. So now this becomes a real D5 material that you can reference and use over and over again. So now you've saved this in your local library. So yeah, you've just generated a new material.
That's pretty neat. I mean, I'm assuming it that was an image, right? Which is super cool. So it's just an image that you reference image from wherever. I'm assuming within reason, though, if the image doesn't have a great picture of the material, how well the material gets generated, or is the AI going to try and fill in the gaps of even maybe not the best image or best angle of that material?
Yeah, so that's actually already embedded in the AI Material Snap, and the base function for that is actually here in the base material properties here. This icon is a texture enhancer.
Oh, okay.
So with any material, it doesn't have to be the AI Material Snap. Any material you have in your library, you can import. If it's just a thumbnail or a low resolution image, you can still load that and then enhance it with this AI.
Got it.
So actually, I'm gonna just delete what I generated before, and as an example here, you can see that kind of this pixelated resolution. You can actually upscale this with Ultra HD. So now it becomes a higher resolution image based on AI, and then you can even erase these tiles by hitting Make Seamless. And then you can also hit AI generated texture maps to generate the texture maps for that material. So now you have, again, you've created a real material that you can save to your library. And this is especially useful for like applying custom materials to like complex geometries, like curved surfaces, or things that, the materials typically don't apply cleanly onto.
Right.
So yeah, with the power of AI, you're just kind of cutting out the Photoshop.
No, I mean that's a very practical use, but super
Exactly.
useful use for AI.
Exactly.
So I
Exactly.
applaud that big time. Like that alone could be a tool, a standalone tool for people for texture generation.
Yeah.
For sure. Awesome. Okay, so we talked about environmental reference image creation, material. What's it called? Material snap. Is that what you guys call it? Which is
Yep.
bringing a reference image, taking any material from that, and generating a texture from it. So what else? I know there's more.
Yeah. Yeah. So our landscape tools are really advanced. Um, so there's a couple of ways to show this. I think I'm gonna just show this advanced brush. So this is a way where you can quickly paint the landscape with landscape elements using our scatter tool. So scatter is basically a preset grouping of plantings that D5 has provided for you. So with like common ground cover, lawn, forest landscape. And what this is species of plants that you can replace. So I'm just gonna show this here. So you can start to paint the landscape like that. And it's essentially scattering the grouping of plant species in an organic manner. And so if you click on that, these are the species that are included in this particular grouping. You can change the density and the probability of occurrence of these species. You can also add species to it. You can replace them. So you can create your own custom and biome based on your climate zone where your project is at. And then save this as a preset. Let's see here. So then you can start to build your own kind of planting library of common, tropical or desert or residential or whatever it is that your firm, your office uses. And again, you can have your teammates use this as well. So now you have your like office catalog of planting. And this is true for trees as well and grass. So, everything you see and hear, you can literally just use that tool to paint in and quickly populate this, the landscape in, less than a minute or so. So it's a really neat,
Is
tool.
there, if in this scenario, is there the ability to maybe make even a more formal collection of these? Like if you wanted it to be, like a grid of the blue flowers with a grid of, you know what I mean? Like instead of having random.
I'm not sure. I think I would just go about it by
Painting them that way or something. Yeah.
painting in individually.
Just curious.
Yeah.
I was curious because I saw the grass that had like the mow lines. I think you had like a pretty linear mow line one. So I was just curious if that was like.
Yeah. That's also an asset type too.
Yeah.
Right. So you can have these kind of
Yeah,
preset.
those look a little more like linear. And I was just curious.
Yeah.
If that was something that you could do with other plants. Very cool.
There is also this really neat tool called AI Agent. And with this smart planting, you can actually use a text prompt to generate a list of planting species and then apply that to your scene. So this example is design a natural perennial flower bed in Switzerland featuring a blue palette. It should thrive in sun-drenched, humid conditions while maintaining year-round visual interest. So it's going to generate a list of species that fit that description here. You can save this out as a planting schedule to Excel. And more importantly, you can, apply this to your scene. So this might kind of be a big area, but, same with the scatter tool, it's going to, apply these species onto your scene. So it's really neat. You can, you don't even have to have a landscape designer. Just kidding.
No, that is super neat. And what I like about it is it can add variation to even if you're not a landscape designer, if you're an architect and you're making visualizations, right? It helps you add variation to your scenes, maybe, right? Where it's not something that you necessarily know all that much about, but know what you want it to look like, type of thing.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's always customizable too. Like I think with D5's AI, I think it gives you a starting point
Right.
to make further adjustments. But like to get there, it's kind of it's all the tedious tasks that take forever to do, right? And like applying, it's just these tedious tasks that take hours and hours to do, like manual labor.
Right.
But it's like someone has to do it. But why not AI, right? So
Right,
I think for us, like we're not using AI to like generate designs for you. We're using AI as a tool to help you cut down time so that you can go back to your design and spend time on what's really important to you.
Exactly.
So I think that's the way I look at it.
Very cool. There's our little AI forest. So I think the only other AI thing, unless maybe I'm missing one, but off the top of my head, I think is post-processing. I think you have some post-processing options for AI for enhancing images and whatnot, right?
Yes, absolutely. We have 3 AI tools here: AI Enhancer, AI Style Transfer, and In Painting. And I'll go through just briefly some of these. So AI Enhancer, generally enhances the scene. So for example, I guess, this scene, by using the AI Enhancer, I can, just take it to the next realism. Like if you look at these edges here, you can see that the material has been enhanced, and then the background is a little crisper. It's kind of improved the resolution. This is a tool where if the final render looks a little bit plasticky, this can take it to the next level of realism, as it were. And then in terms of these characters, with the AI Enhancer, you can also like selectively enhance objects in your scene. So, for instance, this is a D5 asset person, which is it's okay, but it can be. Oh, sorry. I guess this is the before. It's clearly a rendered person.
Right.
It doesn't really fit the realism of the other materials. So if you do use that enhancer, you can select this person and then quickly kind of just make them a little bit more believable. So they're not like totally out of place. And then we have tools to kind of mimic conceptual styles. So the In Painting is a tool, the AI Style Transfer is a tool where, let me bring this up to this. So let's see. So this rendering here, you can apply these kinds of conceptual stylizations. I think Lumion has this too, but essentially we have like, watercolor, pen, pencil, marker styles. If you don't want to show your clients something that's super hyper realistic yet, because clients take everything so literally. So early on in the conceptual stage, you might be using something like this. But also in the late stage, you can alter your renderings to fit a nighttime scene or a rainy scene or seasonal. So these are all done in post-processing.
Mm-hmm.
So in the nighttime scene, AI will automatically add lights inside the buildings and make them glow. So yeah, those are kind of.
And now for those, is that prompt based or is that reference image based? Depends.
They are reference image based. So essentially, so AI style transfer here, it has winter, autumn, spring, night, sunset, and then also a reference where you can, again, like upload something. Yeah.
Very cool. Yeah, so I mean, it's almost similar to the environment one, right? But you can do it in post as well, right? So
Exactly.
so you can either reference, use an AI to reference and change your real time scene or the post process. So
exactly, exactly. And then the last one I want to show is probably my favorite one. It is called the in-painting, and this allows you to quickly populate. It's essentially like the scatter tool, but like in post-processing over a large swath of area.
Wow.
So I guess I have some examples here. Do I have examples? I think. All right. So in this example here, with in-painting, you can select these open grass areas, like these green areas, like the magic wand, and it will recognize these spaces, and then it will quickly populate those areas with landscape elements.
That's really neat.
Yeah. So gone are the days when. And you have to, go in Photoshop and place in a bunch of trees or in the 3D model, and now you can, kind of focus your attention on what's immediately here. So these might be your real 3D assets that you design yourself, and then in post-processing, just fill in that background.
Very cool.
Very quickly.
Yeah, it looks like it sounds like a lot of people have been just looking at the chat. They've probably been messing with just general post-processing AI tools like Magnifique and probably Midjourney and a few other ones. And so it sounds like they're excited that it's built into the tool, which I think that's a really good workflow too. And I do think that that's coming more and more common too, and it will be more and more common as well moving forward. But having that built into the workflow, so you're not saving the image using another tool, all that stuff, I think is super helpful. Let me see.
Yeah.
Very cool. So we talked about the AI agent. We talked about the AI environment creation using reference image, material creation, scattering of vegetation, and post-processing. So I think we hit all the major AI tools, right?
Yeah, we did. But I do want to kind of I don't want to end before I show the most exciting.
Sure.
Feature.
Well, yeah. So that's kind of where I was going. I wanted to see first, make sure that there's nothing that we didn't show. So I'll let you do that. And then there was one thing I was interested in, if it's not the same thing. So let's jump into what you didn't want to forget about.
So it's called Cesium.
Okay.
And it is a new feature that we added in
This is what I was going to ask you about, by the way. So don't worry, I wouldn't have let you go without it.
Yeah, it's what everybody's talking about, and it's the most exciting thing. I actually recorded this earlier so that I didn't want to risk my computer like freezing in the middle of it. Essentially, Cesium is a plugin in D5 where you can stream Google Earth satellite data directly inside of your project. So it's site context that you don't have to model.
I'm super excited about this because and people who follow my channel have probably seen videos I've done in the past of different ways to rip information from Google Earth and try to bring that into Twinmotion and Revit and stuff like that. And so I've been using all kinds of workflows and tools to get it in. So I'm super excited to see sort of how this works in D5.
can you see my, can you see this video,
Yes. Yep.
this media player?
Mhm.
Okay. So, essentially, yeah, you can search anywhere in the world that has Google 3D
Mhm.
satellite data and then import it. And it's streaming data. It's not downloading a huge site
Got
file
it.
or anything, so it's very fast. It's it doesn't add.
It's not creating a giant mesh of the 3D data and bringing it in.
Yeah,
It's streaming
exactly.
the actual 3D, which is pretty. That's
Exactly,
super neat.
exactly. Yeah, so you'll see that it's starting to generate the resolution here. And then you can see that it will respond to the environment parameter, the settings inside of D5. So you can get accurate sun studies, lighting studies based on your location. And then you can use a section cube tool to cut out the area of your section, of your site. So I'm gonna bring that in a second.
Now this comes in. You said streaming the data. So do you have the ability to modify that, or other than the section tool, like if you needed to scale or rotate or something, or no?
Oh yeah, you can move it around.
Okay.
So you can reference.
Right, because it's usually better to move this to your model than try to move your model to this in the workflow. That's kind of why I was asking.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so you can create a void using that section cube, and then have your project sit there.
Very cool.
Yeah, so. Yeah, and then when you import it, so the coordinates that you import here, you add here is essentially going to be your origin point, so you can coordinate it.
You could, yes. So you could try to, yeah, I see. You could try to line everything up, and then the cropping of where it is that basically what you see in your screen, or you have the ability to do that after the fact?
Yeah, you can do that after the fact.
Got it.
So you can have an entire
instead of having the entire. That's pretty cool looking though.
Yeah, but you can so. It's
cool.
really neat. I mean, just like think of the hours, and like days and weeks you can save. Like,
no, yeah, like I said, we have.
Well.
I have a lot of workflows for getting those into it. So yeah, cesium as being another option for it would be pretty neat. Somebody did quickly ask, which I'm sure you knew was going to come. Can you make a polygon section instead of just a rectangle for that hole?
Yeah, we are working to enable like more custom. Boundaries, but you can add like multiple section cubes.
Got it. And you work with the cubes, overlap them to try and get it to work. Got
exactly.
it. Very cool. Awesome. That was the thing that I definitely didn't want to miss, and so I appreciate you jumping on. Any final words before we wrap up, Millie?
Yeah. So with the cesium, kind of like it's good for like the far resolution when you're doing aerial views. When you do get close up, though, you do start to get like pixelated, facades and kind of polygonal trees.
Right.
But the good thing with D5 is that there's that AI tool that can enhance that.
Right.
So you can combine the cesium and AI to kind of create a polished, presentation-ready image.
Right.
Even if the source is a little bit lower res, you can always enhance it kind of indefinitely.
Right. As opposed to the current workflow is probably, which is again what my team and I are doing a lot, is modeling sort of context that's closer, and then using the Google Earth type of stuff for further because of that. Right. Once you zoom in, you don't necessarily want to see those polygonal trees and those facades that just. They look great in the scene like we're showing here, but you zoom in and those facades aren't necessarily as attractive. So very, very cool. Somebody asked, is there the cost for cesium, or is there an additional cost for cesium, or how does that work with
Yeah,
it?
so the base usage is free. You do have to make an account with Cesium. Uh, and you can kind of see like there's a watermark that shows up. So that's if you continue to use their like free license.
Got it.
If you do want to get the commercial license that removes this watermark, then there's a fee to it. There's a subscription fee, but that's like on the Cesium website. It's not through D5, so that's
Okay.
for you
Got
to
it.
decide.
Got it. Very cool. Awesome. Yeah. So, Millie, thank you so much for joining us. I think we got through a lot of
pleasure.
stuff, which is great. I'm glad your camera came back. We get to see your face at the end here, and it's working. Any final words before we wrap up?
I think I think the best way to kind of be convinced is to try it out for yourself, especially if it's like you're still kind of skeptical about the speed and the quality. I can talk about how great it is all day, but at the end of the day, you should definitely try it yourself. There are system requirements, hardware requirements that are recommended. They are on our website, which I think we will post a link to after this. So make sure that your graphics card is the most important component. So make sure that's compatible. And then we have a free community version to test out, which is it's limited, so it doesn't. You can't use the AI tools, and the assets are limited, but you can kind of get a sense
Get a
of
feel for it.
yeah. So
Awesome.
and then I think we have a lot of learning resources online too, YouTube and Scene Expresses, where you can download free like D5 scenes to test out. So yeah, we have a lot of resources online.
Fantastic. Awesome. Well, thank you so much. And I will put links to all the stuff that we mentioned here below. So if they're not in the description now, they will be in the next 24 hours. I appreciate you joining us, Millie. This was awesome. This helps me sort of get a sense of of where it is as a adamant Twinmotion user. This is great to sort of be able, in my mind, comparing the two. There's actually a lot of similarities as far as workflows and even UI, to be honest. And so I'm actually excited to jump in and just give it a spin and try it out and see if it works for some of my workflows. But obviously the AI tools are incredible. So thank you so much for joining us. I really do appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Of course. And everyone here live, thank you for joining us live. I appreciate all your questions and comments in the chat. I hope you guys, if you haven't tried D5, are going to jump over and give it a shot and let us know what you think. And maybe we'll have Millie back in the future date to do some more in-depth workflow stuff and who knows what else, but I really do appreciate it. And again, if you would like to support this channel, head on over to community.bimafterdark.com, where I've got full-length courses, sample files, template files, office hours, and all kinds of great stuff. And yeah, with that, we won't have a live stream next week. I'll be traveling, but the week after we do have some guests coming back, some returning guests. And so stay tuned for episode 130. Subscribe to the channel here on YouTube. And with that, I bid you all adieu. Thank you so much. See you soon.